Right now, Venezuela is accusing the United States, and rightly so, of trying to destabilize Venezuela via sabotage. This also includes funding anti-government opposition groups, and President Nicolas Maduro has called it the worst and most criminal act in 20 years. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has accused opponents of using his country as a testing ground for a new war strategy and new kinds of weapons. Venezuela is demonstrating to the world that it is a testing ground for new cybernetic electromagnetic war weapons and a new war strategy, which is not a direct invasion or bombing by missiles, but the bombing of vital public services. Essentially, he's accusing the United States of having carried out an EMP attack, which was used to destabilize the electrical grid inside the country. Now, as you recall, in March, Venezuela suffered the worst power outage in its history, where as many as 21 out of 23 states were left without power. Due to this and other violent threats, Nicolas Maduro has decided to respond by taking the Venezuelan militias, the people's militia, where it's like regular everyday people that are given military training to defend the country, is going to increase them from 2.1 million to 3 million. So this shows that there is an increasing militarization on the part of the Venezuelan government with good reason, because it is essentially being invaded by the United States. Not a direct military invasion, but a destabilization effort. There are terrorist groups being funded inside the country by the United States, etc. So they are facing a very real threat. Now, this all comes as Juan Guaido was stripped of his position of the National Assembly Speaker, I believe it was, where he ended up declaring himself president because of elections which he cannot show any evidence of misconduct at all. And then went to the United States, buddied up with the imperialist powers, advocated incredibly damaging sanctions against the country, which included blocking food and medicine. Well, he's been stripped of those powers, and they are now launching a criminal case against him, hopefully one that will include treason and collusion with foreign powers to destabilize the country. I mean, it was certainly a big deal when Trump was accused of it, right? So imagine how upset people like the Democrats will be if someone in Venezuela actually does what they lament so much. Now, on top of all this, Russian troops have entered into the country. And they're going to be stationed there for a while. And they have various duties. It's not like a full military force, like a group of advisors and people, I believe, to train how to use helicopters, or a particular kind of Russian helicopter. On top of that, Chinese soldiers have now arrived in Venezuela as part of a cooperation program between Beijing and Caracas. Now, according to reports, more than 120 soldiers from the Chinese People's Liberation Army arrived at Venezuela's Margarita Island to deliver humanitarian aid and military supplies to the government. So this is pretty important. What you have here is two foreign militaries with advisors, aid workers, etc. inside the country, so that if you decide to militarily invade Venezuela, you're now attacking Chinese and Russian troops, which brings them into the whole fight. And that's a very, very dangerous situation. Clearly, Russia and China are defending their interests inside of Venezuela, and mostly that is due to the amount of money that Venezuela owes Russia and China. Now, should Venezuela fall into the hands of the United States and someone like Juan Guaido, you can bet those loans will never be repaid. So I think that despite any kind of veneer of socialist unity, this is very much something that's in the economic interest of both Venezuela and China, who are not willing to lose that kind of money to simple U.S. maneuvering in typical U.S. imperialism. But this also certainly escalates things even further. This could break out into a larger war. I don't foresee that happening, but it is something that could theoretically happen. Nobody's interested in a third world war because essentially the mutual assured destruction principle. Everybody is going to die. Nobody is going to win a global nuclear war, except maybe the Posadas. So I don't really think it's going to go down that road, but it could get very extremely bloody when what you will have is essentially a proxy war between Venezuela, Russia, and China against the United States, taking place inside of Venezuela, with the Venezuelan people taking the brunt of the casualties and the suffering. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.